The galaxy was quiet, too quiet, as if it was holding its breath. Soldiers and commanders stood in silence, their eyes fixed on the great cage of black steel. Inside the cage was the creature that haunted every dream and every battle for years. The alien dragon, the deadliest being known among the stars. Its body was long and armored with scales that shimmered like dark fire. Its wings were folded tight, but even folded they were bigger than a ship's sails. Its eyes were like burning suns, and its teeth could cut through warships. Everyone feared this monster. Some said even speaking its name would bring bad luck. This creature had burned fleets to ash. It had swallowed armies whole. It was called the End of Worlds. It was not just an animal, it was a living storm of rage. For years the galaxy fought it, but no one ever won. Only chains powered by strange alien machines held it now. These chains glowed blue and wrapped around its wings. Its neck, its tail. The creature growled low, like thunder rolling through the ground. No one dared go close. Yet on this day, something impossible happened. A boy, small, thin, no weapon in his hands, walked into the cage. His steps were slow but steady. His eyes were wide but not with fear. His name was whispered among the soldiers. "A human boy, what is he doing? He will die in one breath." Some shouted for him to stop. Others froze, waiting to see his body torn apart. But the boy kept walking. The dragon lifted its head. Its burning eyes narrowed. The air grew hot. Some soldiers felt their lungs tighten as if the beast was sucking the air away. The boy stopped right before the dragon's scarred muzzle. The monster's teeth were inches away, one bite, and the boy would be gone. The crowd held their breath, but then in the silence, the boy did something no one understood. He reached out his hand, his fingers trembled. He touched the scar on the dragon's snout. The dragon's growl rumbled louder. The ground shook, the boy leaned forward. And before fear could stop him, he pressed his lips softly against the scar. Gasps filled the air, soldiers shouted, "Impossible!" He kissed it. "He is mad." Weapons were raised, ready to fire. But the dragon did not move to kill. Instead, the monster blinked. Its great eyes, full of fire, dimmed. The growl faded slowly, its massive head lowered. The cage shook as the dragon knelt. The boy's hand rested on its scales. And for the first time, the beast was calm. A strange light filled the cage. It was not from the machines. It came from the bond, invisible but strong. A wave of energy spread out. Every soldier felt it, their weapons shook. Some dropped to their knees as if the galaxy itself had frozen in shock. The boy's eyes met the dragon's in that moment. It was as if they shared a secret no one else could hear. The dragon's memories touched him like whispers. A storm of images rushed into his mind, worlds burning, chains tightening, endless screams of war. He saw loneliness, loss, betrayal. The dragon was not just a killer, it was a prisoner of pain. And somehow the boy understood. His heart beat faster, but he did not pull back. The soldiers outside the cage began to argue. "Kill them both now, before it breaks free," shouted one commander. "No, wait, look at it, look at the beast. It bows to him." Another cried. Fear and wonder fought inside their voices. No one knew what to do. The boy did not speak. But his hand moved slowly along the dragon's snout. The beast closed its eyes, and for a heartbeat, it looked less like a monster and more like a wounded soul. The chains rattled as the dragon shifted, not in rage but in surrender. The boy felt warmth, not fire but life, flowing from the creature into him. The galaxy outside did not matter now, only the boy and the dragon. Two beings standing in defiance of everything the universe believed, a human child and a living weapon. One gentle touch, one soft kiss, and the greatest terror known to the stars had bowed its head. The silence was broken when alarms blared. Guards shouted, "The bond, something is happening." The glowing chains flickered, sparks flew. The machines that held the dragon shook as if they were under attack. The boy did not move. He kept his hand on the creature. The dragon opened its eyes again. This time its burning gaze was softer, almost protective. A low voice echoed inside the boy's mind. It was not in words, but he understood. "Why, you?" The boy's lips parted. His voice was quiet, trembling. "Because you are not a monster to me." The dragon's eyes widened slightly. It drew in a deep breath. For a moment, everyone thought fire would explode and consume the boy. But nothing came. The beast only exhaled warm air. Like a sigh, the boy closed his eyes. Standing still, soldiers aimed their guns. Hands shaking, no one dared shoot then. With a sound like thunder, the dragon lowered its body fully to the ground. Its wings spread just slightly, bowing in a gesture that no one had ever seen. The human boy stood in front of the deadliest creature in the galaxy, and the creature had chosen not to kill him. It had chosen to kneel. The galaxy froze, not because of fear, but because of wonder. Something had changed forever. Under the cold light of the prison moons, whispers spread across the fleet. A boy had touched the untouchable, kissed the scar of the galaxy's deadliest dragon, and lived. Soldiers could not sleep. Commanders sent secret reports across channels, and everywhere people asked the same question: who was this boy? His name was Kyle, though few knew it. He had no family, no title, no power. He was an orphan who grew up on forgotten supply ships. Working for scraps, he cleaned engines, carried tools, and lived in the shadows of war. No one cared for him. No one expected him to matter. He was small, too small for the harsh life among soldiers. His hands were thin, his eyes dark. Yet inside him was something no one could see. Kale himself had always felt it. Strange dreams came to him, dreams of fire and wings, dreams of storms that whispered his name. He would wake with his heart racing, the taste of smoke on his lips though no fire burned near him. Sometimes he felt a pull in his chest, as if the stars themselves were calling. That pull had led him into the dragon's cage. His body had moved before his mind. His lips had touched the scar without reason, and yet, when he felt the beast's hot breath on his skin, it had not been fear that filled him. It had been recognition, as if he had finally met the other half of his soul. Now, in the days that followed, Kale was locked in a chamber of steel. Soldiers questioned him. They shouted, threatened, even starved him. "What trick did you use?" One demanded. "Are you some secret weapon?" asked another. Kale only shook his head. His answer never changed. "I only touched him. He was hurting." I knew it, but something else began to happen. Whenever Kale was brought near the dragon's cage, the machines that bound the beast flickered, alarms rang. Storms outside the station calmed as if bowing to some unseen will. Weapons misfired, lights dimmed, and always, the dragon's eyes followed Kale, not with rage, but with strange calm. The High Council of the fleet grew afraid. "This boy is dangerous," they whispered. "No human should be able to stand before that monster. Something inside him is not normal." Even Kale wondered, who was he really? He searched his memories but found nothing special. Only the cold of empty nights and the hunger of forgotten days. Yet deep in his chest there was always that strange warmth. It pulsed when he was close to the dragon. It sang when he dreamed one night. As Kale sat alone in his locked room, the dreams came stronger. He saw not his own life, but the dragon's, chains of fire wrapping around its wings, the cries of other dragons fading into silence, a sky burning red as an empire laughed. The pain was so sharp he woke screaming, and in the darkness he felt something, a whisper. "Soft but clear, you hear me?" Kyle pressed his hand to his chest. His heart pounded. He looked around the room, but no one was there. The whisper returned. "You are not only human." The next morning, soldiers dragged him again before the council. They demanded answers. "Tell us what you are. Why does the dragon obey you?" Kale stood silent. His lips trembled. He wanted to answer, but even he did not know. He only whispered, "I am just a boy." Yet even as he said it, doubt grew inside him. If he was only human, why did the dragon's fire not burn him? Why did the monster bow? Why did storms come when he walked past? In the cage, the dragon shifted, its eyes locked on him again. Kale felt the pull stronger than ever. The whisper grew louder in his mind. Not words, but feelings. Loneliness, anger, and something else. Hope. And in that moment, Kale understood one truth. He was not chosen by humans, he was chosen by the dragon. Whatever he was, wherever he came from, the galaxy would never look at him as just a boy again. Outside the cage, soldiers argued. "We should kill him before he grows stronger." "No, study him. He might be the key to control the beast." Their voices clashed like blades, but Kale heard none of it. His eyes stayed on the dragon, and the dragon's eyes stayed on him. Something was waking, something ancient and unstoppable. The night was long, and Kale could not sleep. His body rested on the cold floor of the chamber, but his mind burned with images. He saw firestorms swallowing worlds. He heard cries of voices that were not his. He felt chains digging into wings that were not his own. Every time he closed his eyes, he was no longer Kale, he was the dragon. When morning came, the guards dragged him again before the cage. They wanted to test him. They wanted to see if the impossible bond would repeat. Soldiers aimed their guns, commanders shouted orders, but the moment Cale stepped inside, the dragon's eyes lit with something fierce. The growl it gave was not rage, it was recognition. Cale walked closer, his legs shook, but he did not stop. The dragon lowered its head, its scarred muzzle inches from him. And then it happened again. His vision blurred, his chest burned. His mind fell into a storm that was not his own. He was flying through black skies filled with stars. His wings stretched wide, fire trailing behind them. He felt the weight of thousands of ships firing at him. He felt the pain of chains snapping shut. He heard laughter, cold and cruel. The laughter of the empire that enslaved him. And then, he saw them, dozens of dragons. Wings like mountains, eyes like fire, they roared together, free and proud, but one by one he felt their deaths. Spears of light piercing their hearts, chains dragging them into silence. The last sound was the scream of young ones, his brood. Cale gasped and stumbled back. His hand clutched his chest. He could still hear it. The sound of children crying, the sound of wings being torn. His eyes filled with tears and he fell to his knees. The dragon's head lowered beside him. For the first time, the beast looked not like a monster, but like something broken. The soldiers outside were confused. They only saw Cale kneeling with his hand on the creature's snout. But inside his mind, Cale saw more. He saw the chains that glowed with fire. He saw how they wrapped around the dragon's heart. Not just its body. They were not simple weapons. They were prisons for the soul. And in that vision, a voice finally formed. Clear and deep, human boy. You see me? Cale's lips trembled. You can speak? The voice echoed like thunder inside his head. I do not speak, I remember. And you remember with me? Cale's hands shook. Why me? Why do I see? The dragon's burning eyes locked on him because you are not only yourself, there is something inside you. Something old. You are bond. The word rattled Cale's bones. Bond, it was more than a word, it was a truth. A link that had existed long before him. A bridge between human and dragon. A bond that the Empire had tried to erase with blood. The visions returned this time. He saw carvings on ancient stone. Humans standing beside dragons. Their hands on their muzzles, not with fear but with trust. Together they fought, together. They ruled the skies, but then came the Empire. And the bond was broken. The dragons were chained. The humans forgotten, and now somehow, Cale had brought it back, he cried out, clutching his head. The flood of memories was too heavy for him. He was just a boy. He should not carry the weight of lost worlds. But the dragon's voice calmed him. Do not break, little one, you are chosen, you are last. The soldiers saw him collapse and shouted, pull him out. But before they could enter, the dragon spread its wings, the chains rattled hard, the whole cage shook, the beast roared. Not in rage, but in warning, no one came closer. They stood frozen, weapons trembling in their hands. Cale raised his head slowly. His eyes glowed faintly, as if the dragon's fire had passed into him. He looked at the soldiers and whispered, He is not what you think. He is not only death, he is pain. He is memory, the commanders cursed. He is infected. He is poisoned by the beast. But some of the soldiers hesitated. They had seen the dragon bow. They had felt the energy when Cale touched him. Doubt spread like fire in dry wood. Cale turned back to the dragon, his voice broke as he spoke. They killed your brood, didn't they? They took everything from you. The dragon's head lowered again. Its eyes dimmed. The great beast exhaled a sigh that shook the walls. And in Cale's chest, the whisper returned, soft but sharp. Free me, and I will free you. Cale's heart stopped. Free him? The thought was madness. The chains were forged by the Empire's oldest weapons. Even fleets could not break them. But as the words echoed inside him, he felt the pull again. The same pull that had led him into the cage on the first day. Maybe the bond was more than dreams. Maybe it was power. The boy stood slowly, his hand still resting on the dragon's muzzle. His voice was quiet but firm. I don't know how, but I will try. And in that moment, the galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath again. The trial chamber was built of glass and steel, high above the burning clouds of a storm planet. Lightning flashed outside the windows, and thunder shook the floor as if the sky itself was listening. Hundreds of soldiers filled the walls, their rifles ready. Their commanders sat in black chairs carved with the crest of the Empire. At the center, a boy stood alone. Cale. He was small in the wide chamber, his hands were bound, his eyes hollow from sleepless nights. Yet even in chains there was a strange calm in him, a calm that made the generals uneasy. One of them rose, his voice sharp like a blade. This human child has touched the beast. He has spoken treason with his silence. He is no longer one of us, he is an enemy of the galaxy. The words echoed across the hall. Soldiers banged their boots, the sound like drums of war. But Cale did not flinch, he only whispered, "I did not betray anyone." "I only listened," the council erupted in laughter. "Listened?" "To a monster?" One barked, "That creature has burned worlds." "It is not a voice, it is a plague." Cale's eyes lifted, and for a moment they seemed older, deeper. "You are wrong, he is not a plague, he is a prisoner. And you are the ones who chained him." Gasps spread through the hall. No one dared speak like that to the Empire. The commander's face twisted with rage. "Enough. You will be silenced." He raised his hand to give the order for Cale's execution. But then the ground shook, the walls trembled. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Soldiers shouted. The alarm screamed red across every screen. The dragon was awake far below. In its cage of blue chains, the monster roared. The sound pierced through glass and steel. It was not only heard, it was felt. Soldiers clutched their heads, some fell to their knees. The chains blazed with firelight, struggling to hold. Cale felt it too. The bond inside his chest burned like a second heartbeat. His legs gave out, but his voice carried strong. "He knows. He knows you want to kill me." The commander shouted orders. "Kill the boy before the beast breaks free." Rifles raised, red lasers aimed at his chest. Cale closed his eyes, waiting for the end. Then it happened. The chamber floor cracked, metal walls bent. The dragon's massive head broke through with a roar that shattered the air. Flames curled from its mouth. Painting the glass in fire, soldiers fired wildly, but their shots bent in strange arcs, sparks falling harmlessly. The beast's wings slammed against the walls. Rattling the sky tower, Cale opened his eyes and met the dragon's gaze. His fear vanished, replaced by something else, certainty. He stood and lifted his bound hands. "I choose him," he shouted. His voice echoed over the thunder. "I stand with the dragon." The council froze. Soldiers hesitated. The idea was madness. No human had ever chosen the beast. But Cale had. The dragon roared again. Chains snapped one by one, glowing shards flying like meteors. The tower shook as if the planet itself rebelled. A blast of fire erupted between Cale and the soldiers. Forcing them back, he stood in the glow of the flames. His shadow stretched like something more than human. For the first time, the boy who was nothing looked like destiny. The commander screamed, "He is no longer ours." "He is theirs." The last chain shattered, the dragon's wings spread wide, breaking through steel and glass. A storm of fire and wind consumed the chamber. Cale felt himself lifted as the dragon bent low. Without fear, he climbed onto its neck. His bound hands touched its scales, the bond flared like lightning. Every soldier saw it, boy and beast glowing as one. The tower crumbled, the sky opened, and together they rose, leaving the trial of fire behind. The galaxy had its answer. The boy was no prisoner. No weapon, no orphan, he was a rider, the first in 1,000 years. And war would never be the same again. The stars stretched wide and endless, cold rivers of light flowing past as the dragon cut through space. Its wings did not flap but shimmered with energy. Bending gravity, folding distance, Cale clung to its neck, the wind of the void rushing against his skin. Though there was no air here, he should have been afraid. He should have been frozen by the dark emptiness, but instead he felt alive for the first time. Behind them, fleets gave chase. The Empire's warships roared with engines, red light spilling from their cannons. Orders crackled through their radios, "Bring down the beast! Bring down the boy!" Missiles screamed forward. Burning trails across the void, the dragon twisted. Its body coiled through space as if swimming through an invisible sea. Fire poured from its mouth, not burning but reshaping the very airless dark. The missiles vanished into ash. Warships spun away, their systems dead as if the stars themselves had betrayed them. Cale held tighter. His heart thundered. The bond between them sang louder than ever. He could feel the dragon's pulse, and through it he could feel guidance, not rage, not instinct, but direction, like a compass pointing to a place forgotten by all. "Where are you taking me?" Cale whispered, his voice lost to the void but carried into the dragon's mind. The answer was not words, it was an image. Stone ruins floating in the dark, older than empires, older than chains. They flew for hours or maybe days, time bent strangely here, until at last Cale saw it, a shattered world, broken into pieces that drifted like islands of rock. Upon them stood monuments of impossible size, carvings of humans and dragons side by side, their hands and claws meeting in unity. Cale's breath caught. This is real. We were together once. The dragon landed upon one of the ruins. Its claws dug into stone that had not been touched in 1,000 years. Cale stepped down. His boots met the ancient surface. Symbols glowed faintly, pulsing as if they recognized him. He walked slowly, tracing his fingers along the carvings. Simple images told a story. Humans riding dragons, wings stretched across galaxies, battles fought side by side, and then a final image. Darker, chains, fire, betrayal. The bond broken, Cale's throat tightened. The prophecy carved in the stone burned with light now that he stood before it. One kiss, one bond, one galaxy saved. He stumbled back. His chest ached, his mind raced. Was this fate? Had his life as a forgotten orphan led him here because it was written long before he was born? The dragon lowered its head beside him. Its great eye burned with quiet fire. The bond pulsed between them. The whisper came again. Soft as breath, you are not mistake, you are return, before Cale could answer. The silence shattered. A shadow fell across the ruins. Warships closed in, their lights blinding. Commanders' voices rang from the speakers. Surrender the beast and the boy. But there was more. Cale felt another presence. Not from the Empire, not human. It was heavy, cold, cruel. The ruins themselves trembled. A figure stepped from the shadows of broken stone. Tall, wrapped in armor of living metal. Its voice slithered through the air. So, the bond awakens again. Cale's blood ran cold. He knew without being told this was no ordinary enemy. This was the hand of the Empire that had enslaved the dragons long ago. The one that had broken the bond. The dragon's growl rumbled deep. Fire licking its teeth, Cale felt the heat building. He touched the scales, whispering, "Not yet." "Not here," the armored figure laughed. "You think a boy can save what was lost? You are only the spark, and I will snuff you out before the flame spreads." The fleets moved into position. Cannons charged, the ruins glowed brighter, symbols flaring as if trying to wake. Cale's heart pounded. He stood between destiny and death, and in that moment, the prophecy was no longer just stone. It was alive, it was beginning. The boy, the dragon, and the ruins of a forgotten bond stood against the Empire. The stars themselves seemed to wait. The ruins shook as if the stones themselves remembered old wars. Symbols glowed brighter, casting long shadows across Kyle and the dragon. The Empire's fleet circled above, their cannons burning red. But it was not the ships that froze Cale's breath. It was the sound. A roar split the void, deeper, sharper. Colder than the dragon's own, it did not echo with freedom. It dragged chains in its voice. A shape tore through the darkness, wings vast, body scarred, eyes burning not with life but with control. Another dragon enslaved. Cale's heart lurched, he stumbled back. "No, there's more." The armored figure on the ruins lifted its hand. The enslaved dragon obeyed instantly, its body twitching as if pulled by invisible hooks. The chains that wrapped its wings glowed black and red, digging into flesh. Every movement was pain, and yet it moved. Cale felt his own dragon tense, its growl rumbled the ruins. Fire licked from its mouth, not in rage but in sorrow. Through the bond, Cale felt it, recognition. The enslaved one was not a stranger, it was once kin. The commander's voice cut through the storm. Let them tear each other apart. One bond will break the other. The enslaved dragon struck first. Its wings sliced the air, sending a shockwave that shattered stone monuments into dust. Cale's dragon leapt aside, flames bursting across the sky. The ruin shook as the two giants collided. Fire against shadow, freedom against chains. Cale clung to his dragon's neck, the bond burning in his chest. He could feel every strike, every wound, every scream of his dragon's soul. He shouted, "Bite, but don't lose yourself!" His voice cracked with fear. The enslaved dragon's eyes locked on him. And for a split moment, Cale felt it. Behind the chains, behind the fire, there was something, a cry, a plea. It wasn't only a weapon, it was trapped. The armored figure laughed. "See, boy? Your bond means nothing. Dragons are slaves to power. They always will be." Cale's fists clenched. His heart raced. The bond inside him flared with light. He closed his eyes and reached, not with his hands, but with his soul. The way he had touched the first dragon, the way he had kissed the scar. He reached for the enslaved one. At once the world blurred. His vision broke open. He was inside its pain. He felt the hooks tearing at its wings, the fire chains around its heart. He saw memories, fields of light where it once flew free, hatchlings crying at its side, then silence, then chains. Kale screamed, "You are not a weapon! You are not theirs!" His voice echoed inside the dragon's mind. The enslaved beast roared, shaking its head violently for one heartbeat. Its eyes flickered, not red but gold. The Empire panicked. The armored figure snarled, forcing the chains tighter. Sparks of black fire wrapped around the enslaved dragon's chest, dragging it back into control. Kale gasped, his chest burning as if the chains were inside him too. He fell against his dragon's scales, whispering, "I can't." Not alone. But then his dragon turned its head. Its eye meeting his, and Kale felt it. The bond was not one way. It was strength shared. His dragon's voice thundered through his mind. Together, light erupted. The bond blazed between them. Flowing into Kale's hands, he raised them, fire and light bursting out, not burning but breaking. The ruins lit like a sun reborn. Symbols across the stone flared alive, and the enslaved dragon froze, its eyes wide. Kale's voice shook the air. "Remember who you are." The enslaved dragon's scream tore across the galaxy. Flames burst from its chest as the chains cracked. For the first time it moved not with obedience but with hesitation. Its gaze shifted between Kale and the armored figure. The battle was not yet won, but something had changed. A war of two bonds had begun, one forged in chains, one born in trust. The galaxy itself seemed to wait for which would break first. The stars burned red with war, fleets filled the void, their cannons firing endless storms of light. The ruins trembled as fire clashed against fire. Two dragons circled in the chaos, one free, one bound. Their roars tore through the silence of space. Kyle clung to his dragon's neck, his chest burning with the bond. Every blast shook his bones. Every wound stung his skin as if it were his own. He could feel the enslaved dragon's pain, heavy and suffocating like a heart drowning in chains. The armored figure raised its hand again, pulling tighter on the shackles of black fire. The enslaved beast screamed, its eyes glowing blood red. Its massive body slammed into Kale's dragon, wings crashing, scales breaking. Kale was thrown hard against the neck ridge, his vision swimming. "End it!" The Empire commander roared from the fleets. "Kill the boy! Kill the beast!" Kale gasped for air. His fingers dug into the scales beneath him, his voice cracked. "I won't let this end like this." He closed his eyes, pulling on the bond with every shred of will he had left. He saw flashes, his dragon's memories, his own life, the ruins' prophecy glowing. One kiss, one bond, one galaxy saved. The words pulsed through him. Kale's dragon turned its great head toward him. Its eyes burned with trust, with sorrow, with love, and Kale understood. The first kiss had started the bond, but the last kiss would set it free. He pulled himself up, every bone in his body screaming. He pressed his forehead to the dragon's scar once more and then kissed it. Not with fear, but with belief. The bond exploded. Light erupted from Kale and his dragon like a star being born. It swept across the battlefield, blinding fleets, tearing through the black chains of fire. The enslaved dragon froze mid-attack, its eyes wide. The red glow shattered, replaced by gold for the first time in centuries. It was free, the commander screamed, "No! Break him!" But it was too late. The light spread farther, reaching beyond this battle, beyond this world, across the galaxy. Wherever dragons slept in chains, they woke, their eyes opened, their bonds snapped, their roars of freedom shaking the stars. Warships failed, cannons dimmed. The Empire's power crumbled not by weapons, but by the return of choice. The enslaved dragon, once enemy, now bowed its head beside Kyle's. Its wings stretched wide in salute. Kale stood tall on his dragon, his small figure glowing against the endless void. Soldiers across the fleets lowered their weapons. Some fell to their knees, they all knew. The galaxy had changed. The armored figure staggered back, its voice trembling for the first time. This is not possible," Kale's dragon roared. The enslaved one joined, and soon across the galaxy, thousands of freed voices rose in answer. The sound was not war, it was rebirth, Kale whispered through the bond, his voice carrying not just to his dragon, but to all who could feel. "No more chains, no more fear, we are one," and the galaxy froze. Not because of death, but because of wonder, because a human boy had kissed the deadliest alien dragon, and together, they had changed everything. The stars themselves seemed to bow. As the age of fear ended and the age of bond began,